I don't know if any other automaker has something quite like this.
Is Tesla being paid by them?
Repeatedly said this is going to be a special event.
Of course it's going to be special. We're voting on his pay package. This week, a surprising new feature sneaks into the Tesla app in its biggest overhaul in years.
Plus, Tesla is doing away with something they've included for free for years, and a lot of people are talking.
And Tesla has finally made a motorcycle, but it's not in the way that you're thinking.
All right, guys, over 1 million of you are tuned in every single month, but the data is showing us that 7 out of 10 are actually not yet subscribed. It does not cost you a thing to subscribe, but it helps us get noticed and also get exclusive access to content, which you're headed to the airport here in about an hour.
Yes, I'm going to something that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, so it does make a big difference if you subscribe to our channel. Also, we put chapters down below. Feel free to skim them and jump to the topic of your choice. But let's get into it with some of this exciting news going on right now with some leaks from a hacker.
Yes, this is a hacker that Tesla's actually fully aware of. When we were out in Austin a few weeks ago, one of the engineers there at Tesla HQ told us the green guy.
Mr. Green.
Is that what he called him?
They referred to him as Mr. Green, and they are well aware that Green the Only is a Tesla hacker, and he's really good at what he does.
He is, and he's been able to hack and decompile more source codes, whether it be from the app, the center screen, and version 4.50.0. He's able to find out we're going to get a screen sharing feature on Tesla's center screen. It'll prompt a 4-digit code. Once you put that in there, you're able to screen share. Now, it's not clear exactly what this is going to be used for. I know as owners, we've always talked about mirroring screens from our phones or something like that to get access to that. And that there are apps that allow you to do that.
So a lot of people have been wanting that, myself included. But I also think about it when it comes to troubleshooting. So with Apple devices, if I have an issue, I'm able to share my screen with Apple or with a friend and kind of troubleshoot that. And I do think that that is what Tesla initially is hoping to do with this. I think with robotaxi, it makes a lot of sense to be able to have that option.
Yeah, there's some wishful thinking on this one as well. If you're a content creator, maybe Tesla's so proud of their FSD upcoming V14 here that they're going to allow you to be able to record or share your screen and get some detailed
Well, why
visuals.
not do both, right?
Yeah.
If they're going to allow you to do one, why not do the other one? I imagine that, I'm not an engineer, but I feel like it's the same sort of thing.
Well, now there's good news with this because it's not just limited to newer AMD-based cars. Even the older vehicles with hardware 3, you're able to use that Intel processor and get the screen sharing capability. But again, no definitive answer on what it's used for. But I think you're probably right. It's probably for service needs more than us being able to share our screens for fun.
I'm still hopeful, though. I'm still hopeful that we'll get both options. So
Yes.
Let me know what you guys think about that one. Also, the app, there's more stuff hidden in there.
So Tesla actually now has a recommended maintenance tab inside its app. This is one of the more significant overhauls we've seen in some time, where you're getting exactly what your car needs as far as specific components. So if it's wiper blades, if it's tire rotations, if it's cabin air filter, it shows you the exact date, the exact cost associated with it, that it recommends you consider replacing it. I don't know if any other automaker has something quite like this. This is really fascinating to see, and it's popped up in the Tesla app right now. And again, kind of gives you all of this, a peace of mind to go with it, so there's no guessing.
I saw a couple of people post on their vehicles what needed to be done. And one was like camera cleaning, and it wasn't that much money. And I'm like, well, those are things you'd probably do yourself. But I also really like it because if you're thinking about the warranty on your car, and maybe you're getting close and you're like, should I buy that extended warranty? Now you can really get an idea for how much everything costs, right? If things start going out on your vehicle, how much you'd be expected to pay out of pocket.
Yeah, that's a good point. And they've also included tire purchases down to the specific wheel, specific tire recommended for your car's spec. So it makes it very easy. You just pop right on there and order one tire if you've got one tire that you want to replace, or a wheel, and also the warranties and protection.
Now, another update that Tesla has teased, but not everyone has seen it yet, is the Tron update, where they are making a motorcycle, but it's more of a visual skin for your vehicle. So I think of it kind of like Santa, right? When the Santa
mode, yeah.
The Santa mode comes, but this is Tron. So it's the Tron, like the Tron Ares movie that's coming out, or maybe it's already out. I'm not following along very well, but you'll be able to visually see your vehicle as a motorcycle.
On compatible vehicles now to a Tron motorcycle, and if you're an FSD, for example, it now becomes a motorcycle. It looks pretty cool. It's got a cyberpunk aesthetic that goes along with it as well. But again, the compatibility is where it's got a lot of people kind of indifferent, because the hardware for AI 4 vehicles, They have the capability to do this. The majority of people have hardware 3 vehicles. The computing power, the processing power, the visualization's not capable. So you're not going to be able to get that. And to get this, you can just go into your vehicle, go to the toy box, click on Tron, and right there you change your visualization.
Have you checked to see if our Model Y can do this yet?
So we just got back into town. I have not checked. So
we need to do this. I feel like our kids will love it. It kind of turns your car into a video game,
yes,
right?
Yep.
It makes it feel like, I mean, you're not even driving your car these days.
On the FSD mode, you're able to move it around and exactly visualize.
It's basically a skin. You're able to get different skins now for your vehicle. And it also makes me wonder in terms of advertising for the movie, is Tesla being paid by them? Because it's direct advertising.
That's what some people are saying, is that this is some sort of a paid advertisement hidden under a veil, and it's Tesla marketing this, and it could be, very well could be. Cybertruck owners seem to like it because it goes with that whole Cybertruck.
I mean, I love it, but it is marketing in a way, and it makes you kind of wonder if this is like a whole nother avenue for vehicles to be able to advertise for movies like this.
Yeah.
Down for it.
Cybertruck showed up in Fortnite. Remember, our Liam was hopping all over the place when he saw it in there. So, I mean, that's advertising that's being snuck in there as well. So this could be the other way around.
So what would you want the next one to be? Like, do we want like K-pop demon hunters to come inside our Tesla? That'd be kind of cool. It could be like a little game where you get to slay the demons. Next up, Smuckers has put Trader Joe's in a jam. They're suing them for knockoff snacks, saying that they cut too close with their crustless PB&J bites. Now, I know this is not EVs, but if you do like our podcast, you're going to love this story from Morning Brew. Morning Brew is a daily newsletter that I read every single morning, and it makes it just fun and easy way to be able to stay on top of tech, as well as just what's going on in the world. I used to start my morning just scrolling social media, wasting a lot of time, but now I go on here, I read it, it takes less than 5 minutes, and it's not just me that enjoys this. Over 4 million busy professionals are using this service. It covers stories with business, finance, and tech, and it keeps the stories concise and fact-driven, so it makes you feel more informed about the world around you. And they even have some fun stories with it, like the Trader Joe's story I was just sharing with you, and what's unique about it is just the way that it's written. It's funny, it's witty. They even have pop culture references. So I've really been enjoying reading this newsletter, and I think that you guys will too. It's free. It takes seconds to sign up. I'll link everything you need to know down in the description below, or you can always just scan this QR code right here. All right, let's get back to it.
So back to Tesla news, Kim, it looks like they may be moving away from a feature they've long included in every single Model 3 and Model Y since their inception. And this was based on an owner's manual discovery. Right after the Model 3 and Y standard were released, someone noticed the owner's manual removed the verbiage that said 2 key cards are included for free with the 3 and Y. And that's for all owner's manuals now of the Model 3 and Y. And it's not confirmed yet if people are not getting them in the last couple of days with new deliveries. But it seems like maybe Tesla's moving away from RFIDs. We've seen them over the past years kind of quietly remove features, and it usually comes right when they remove them out of the owner's manual.
Well, most people use their phones as the key to their cars, but it's really nice to be able to have those as a backup option. I'll say that I was, quick story here, I was at Target with my son who was on my phone and playing games and didn't seem to notice that my phone was about to die, and my phone died, and I did not have the key card with me. And luckily I was at Target because I was able to go buy a charger and just sit there in Starbucks until my phone would turn back on again to be able to drive home, because I couldn't even call you to ask you to remotely. I mean, maybe I could have borrowed someone's phone, but that's awkward. But in this case, I could just return the,
and it's
charger.
Just the valets, the parking garages, things where they prefer physical keys. And they've all become used to key cards with Tesla. I think Tesla was one of the very first to do that a few years back when, 2018, 19, we would give key cards to people. We'd have to explain what it was. Now it's become something that's, widely accepted. But I'm curious what Tesla's doing in this case and how much money are they saving, because the key cards, I think for Tesla probably cost, say, $1 to $2. If they're $2, that's about $1 million per quarter they would save.
So I think you're still going to get the option, but you're going to, like, when you take delivery, they'll probably ask you if you want it and then add, like, you'll pay for that cost. And maybe they won't just do key cards anymore. Maybe there'll be other options. Maybe there'll be rings. Maybe there'll be bracelets. Rivian has a couple different options for people to have different items as their key. And maybe Tesla will offer that, and you just they put that cost onto you.
Yeah.
So it won't be on them anymore.
So I believe replacing one is $40. I believe that's the number. And if that were the case, if they allowed you to purchase them for $40, that's $19 million of quarterly revenue, $72 million annual revenue based on delivery numbers last year.
Elon has to make up that pay package. He needs to make some money. And here we go.
Yes. So if that is the case, and I think you probably are right, they allow you to purchase it. And everyone will. That brings in almost $100 million annually.
What would you like it on? Instead of a key card, would you want like a bracelet or a ring? Or I kind of liked how Rivian, didn't they have like something that you could put on your...
They had a bracelet where you can go inside and explore in the river and do all sorts of, water activities.
I wouldn't be mad about that. I actually might buy that. So let me know what you guys think and what you would want them to put as an option to have it in. It also looks like robotaxi is expanding to Vegas, but it's not on the street where a lot of people are thinking it might be. We have a lot of driverless vehicles there, Zoox, we have Waymo, a lot of other things there, but it will be in their boring tunnel.
Looks like they're going to be transitioning now in the next 1 to 2 months, which is very interesting timing. We'll talk about here in a second.
Right in time for CES.
Absolutely. So they're going to transition into using Model 3s and Model Ys, hardware 4, and go driverless. So that person that was sitting there driving you through the tunnels, it's gone. And of course...
Will they be gone, or will they just move over to the passenger seat for a little while?
That could be. But this kind of goes along with that, right? Because Tesla had suggested that in Austin, the passenger seat person would be removed by the end of the year. So maybe that comes in. And I thought initially that would be a very easy place that's very much maintained and in order, where you can just easily drop that into the robotaxi in a tunnel and make it work seamlessly every single time.
But there's not a lot of room for error. I mean, these tunnels are small, so you want to make sure that, it's centered. Yeah. But it does seem like an easy place because it's a controlled environment. Yeah. There's not other traffic. Why not make that completely autonomous?
Yes. And there are 100 stations that are planned in Las Vegas. There's 68 miles of tunnels that are expected to roll out, connecting most resorts out there and even the airport. And I think they're going to incorporate the Cybertruck into the airport connection. So these have all been laid out, have been approved, and the tunnels are going to take shape. But essentially what the future of Las Vegas is going to look like, I think, and really reduce that gridlock that's always the case at the surface.
Well, if you're on the surface in Waymo or another robotaxi vehicle, you still have to deal with the traffic. But with these tunnels, you go right to where you need to go. They make so much sense to make them completely autonomous. It's kind of like a ride at Disney World. You hop into it, you get to where you need to go, and then you're out, no tip. Honestly, they're usually, if you stay at one of those hotels, they're typically free, I believe, or else you pay a very small fee.
Yeah. And your point too about this happening right around CES time is brilliant, because we've covered this where there's over 100,000 people that come and go in a matter of a couple of days. Some of them have never been exposed to Tesla. Now they're able to get into it and have an autonomous ride, which maybe is more comforting when you're in a tunnel. And you said there's less, room for error, but at the same time, maybe it's scary when you have traffic all over the place on the surface to deal with, and this you don't.
I mean, it's so genius for Tesla in so many different ways, because people pay so much money to have their vehicles or their tech at CES every year, which is the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas. And they have this tunnel going where they're actually making money and they're showing you their tech at the same time. So the marketing move there is just, it's on another level.
Speaking of marketing, Kim, did you see this? Lemonade's CEO, and Lemonade, by the way, is an insurance company, has 2 million customers. They offer pet insurance, life insurance, home insurance, car insurance, everything. And their CEO went on X, posted that, hey, Elon Musk, Tesla, would you be willing to work with us, and we'll give free insurance, almost free insurance, he used the word, if you use FSD. So this is Shay Weiniger. He co-founded Fiverr. He's now the co-founder and president of Lemonade. He said Tesla's API actually complemented Lemonade's platform really well, and it's just richer, more accurate driving data and behavior. So they're confident, and clearly he uses it himself to be able to put this out there. They're confident that this is something that they could provide for almost free and maybe bring the cost down for people adopting Teslas as well.
So he's looking at FSD in terms of the rate of accidents that people are in. And he says the rate is so low for drivers that use FSD that it makes sense for him to provide insurance to them at a really, really affordable rate.
Yeah, I think they referenced that Tesla's 2025 Q2 report showed the safety ratings being about 10 times safer than human drivers. So with that in place there, Lemonade's willing to take the risk of, hey, well, if you're engaged in FSD and something happens, will insure you for almost nothing.
Yeah. And right now, Tesla insurance is available in 12 different states, and they have plans to expand to Florida, but they actually have not expanded in the last 3 years. We live in Georgia. It's not available here, but with this is something that I would love to try out. Why not? We use full self-driving every single day with our vehicles. Ironically, the last 2 accidents that I've been in, I was rear-ended in full self-driving, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I was in full self-driving, but it was out of our control. And I knew that we were driving safely because we were in full self-driving.
Well, in one case, one person was on their phone. The camera caught that. The other case, the person was adjusting their stereo, is I think what they told you. So, and they were, rear-ending. So
when Lemonade does this, do they put a device inside of your vehicle, or how do they monitor it? Is it like Tesla insurance where they're looking at your driving and your ability? Are they able to work with Tesla then to see kind of the stats, if you have hard braking, all those type of things that Tesla looks at?
So I think the API integration that he made a reference to being seamless with Tesla is exactly where they would get that data. Exactly. So it would be already something naturally accessible. They were able to obviously agree to it with Tesla and then tap into it and get that data without having too much physical labor to make that happen.
I'm wondering though if Tesla is even going to bother doing this, or they'll just be like, you know what, we actually need to get our insurance out to all the states, and it will put them kind of
put pressure on them.
Put some pressure on them because they don't really like to work with other people. They like to do everything in house. So either way, like, get it to Georgia, make that happen. We want it, and I know that all the states really want to have an option for something like this.
And speaking of FSD, Kim, did you see that in Japan, FSD is getting some incredibly positive reviews. And mind you, it's not even widely available to the public yet. This was released to a certain group of individuals, the media included. Nikkei, the Japanese news agency, actually took a 30-minute drive with FSD, and kind of opposite of what you see with self-driving reviews and or mainstream media reports of them that are kind of negative here in the US. It was entirely positive. And it essentially raved about it, saying there was some excellent situational awareness. It slowed down when a bicyclist emerged out of the blind spot. And FSD has received approvals from the Japanese officials there as far as updates coming to the vehicle that enable it. It's not quite live yet, but it's right around the corner, and it looks like people there are embracing it.
When we went to Japan a few years ago, a big learning curve for us in terms of how Japan operates. And they take a little bit longer because they really want to make sure everything is safe, and they double check, they triple check everything. And their approval process does take longer because of all that. I also liked how when you looked at the interpretation of it, it was like I came across this moment of pounding, and I had to kind of think about it. And I'm like, okay, they're interpreting this directly from the Japanese writing. And obviously he's talking about like your heart pounding and just like a feeling of being anxious. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, because the first time you do drive with full self-driving, you kind of feel that, right? That anxiety of like, oh no, what is it going to do in this moment? And he was so impressed though with how it did handle the bicycle and what it was able to see.
In Australia, they actually rolled out FSD very recently. And I saw this ad pop up that looked like it was at an airport in Melbourne, Australia, where it said some buttons start cars, others start the future. And it was an FSD ad. But I love seeing the adoption in different markets.
And an ad. Tesla has an ad
that's a paid
there.
marketing from Tesla, exactly. In that market.
I actually really like it. I feel like it makes you like look at that and you think for a second about the buttons, start cars. What is it trying to say here? And then you realize it's full self-driving.
Now, speaking of different markets, there is a new feature coming to the Tesla Model Y L, the extended Model Y out of China. They've now included a new interior color, which is kind of a first of its kind, because black and white have always been the 3 and Y interior colors. I think there's cream and such, and we've had grays in the past when it comes to Model S. Well, the YL now gets a gray color, and it's going to be about $1,100. And, it's in that market only right now, possibly expanding over to Europe.
I'm so sick of hearing about in that market only. Like, I only want to hear about it now. Like, bring it everywhere. It's not fair.
Well, Musk said end of 2026, maybe, in the whole FSD discussion thing that he brought up.
I tried to ask about this more when we were in Austin, and they were so tight-lipped about it. They would not say a thing about when it was coming to the US.
I got the vibe that they're open to it, and it may happen sooner when you ask that question. I was kind of reading the room when you asked that. And yes, they were very tight-lipped, but I got the vibe that maybe they're playing coy and they're going to be open to possibly bringing that sooner than later.
Well, fingers crossed. I think that that's definitely a vehicle that people want to have. But something that is coming, and we've been saying that it's coming for the last 5 years now, is the Roadster, because there's a lot more talk about it.
There is. Has it been more? I think it's been more than 5 years when it comes to the next gen
It
Roadster.
was promised in 2020. There's been more talk, but it was supposed to come in 2020.
But it was unveiled in 17 or 18, I feel like. And then
Yes.
2020 was when it was supposed to release. But yeah, so we've heard now from Franz von Holhausen, the chief designer for Tesla, on Ryan McCaffrey's podcast, Ride the Lightning, that Tesla is going to officially re-unveil this vehicle before the end of the year, so in the next 1 to 2 months, and do a saleable product demo, not just a prototype. And they're saying that production is slated for 2027. So there you go. So not next year, 2027, but a saleable demo and test rides possibly, or Tesla's swan song when it comes to manual control enthusiast cars, because of course they're leaning heavily on autonomy and self-driving. This vehicle probably going to have some of those features, but he called it a love letter to driving and just fun driving.
He also said something interesting about how what they've really tried to do with it is beyond physics. And I think with that, I took that as like the part of it being able to fly for a few seconds and the rocket boosters and all those different things that they plan on coming to it. I'm sure this will be small scale. They're not going to sell tons of these. And I'm wondering also if it sort of got delayed with Cybertruck, because Cybertruck didn't sell as many units as they were hoping. And they were like, all right, like we're going to make another kind of fun car that's probably not going to sell.
Yeah, I think Cybertruck definitely played some role into it, right? Because it was kind of an out there vehicle like this one's going to be. And they had to scramble and try to make some refinements and adjustments and price changes and variation changes, battery pack sizes that never came to fruition. So all of that definitely removes resources, but this is coming, and it's going to be a saleable version that we're all going to get to re-see here soon. Franz even talked about a bespoke paint options that are going to be available on this as well. So new paint options.
I'm excited. I'm here for it. We have actually won one, so we'll be able to make some content with it for you guys, and hopefully share it with you. I've had big plans for this vehicle for so long, so if it actually comes, it'll be something that you guys will be able to enjoy as well.
You want to hear a date that I think it's going to come out in? November 6th. That is the annual shareholders meeting. And Musk has kind of repeatedly said this is going to be a special event.
Of course it's going to be special. We're voting on his pay package.
Yeah, that could be part of it. But he said that this could be the event. Maybe, something special happens. And if that's the case, maybe this coincides with that. Because beyond that, you're moving right into Thanksgiving and then Christmas. So maybe Tesla sneaks a special small event for this. But I think they've already got an event going in November. Maybe this taps into it. But that's pretty soon. So we'll find out.
I hope that they do an event before this happens where they show it off again and show what it's capable of, because we've heard so much talk, but I want to start seeing something.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of talking, Franz also during this podcast brought up, what he thought of the Model Y standard. Said he thinks that Tesla over-delivered on this because a lot of things in this vehicle were premium. The price was brought down quite a bit in his mind. And of course, a lot of people have said this is not cheap enough, but then his stance was that we're not trying to make it extremely cheap with this
But
vehicle.
it just felt to me like with the Model Y standard specifically that the price should have been lower because they took a lot out of it. If you're comparing the Model 3 standard and you make a list of all the things that they took out versus the Model Y list is like triple the length and the price delta is not as big.
Yeah.
To me, I would have liked that price to go down lower for the Model Y standard, especially with that front trunk. That front trunk, I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't look done to me. It's unfinished. I'm not a fan. Like the Model 3 standard has a finished front trunk.
Well, they told us that they were considering taking the front trunk away. So at least they didn't do that. But yeah.
I mean, they can't do that. It's Tesla. They started the frunk. But I do like the way it closes. I like being able to just close it like, a regular trunk. But at the same time, like, you put something on the sides. Come on.
Aftermarket opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. So right after this, you guys might be tuned into Tesla's earnings report, which is this Wednesday, the 22nd. We're going to find out a little more details when it comes to the numbers. Now, we know with Cybertruck, it didn't sell the way that they had hoped it to. The demand was pretty low, around 20,000 units annually. And it looks like Tesla was able to sell some of the units over to the other companies, SpaceX and XAI, which a lot of people online are saying this is great. Why didn't they do this sooner? And then there's also people saying that they're doing this to maybe boost the numbers. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? To me, it makes sense. Like, why didn't they do this? Use the Cybertruck. Maybe that was part of their overall vision with Cybertruck. We know, like, the Tesla Cafe, like, it's kind of, the Cybertruck is symbolic of Tesla now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one thing I think I saw somebody comment on, it was kind of taking the other perspective of this, is that if this is something that Tesla needs to do when it comes to, for example, Optimus giving this incredible valuation to Tesla's long term, and you know, Musk's pay package really being dependent on robots and Optimus, if Optimus doesn't sell and Tesla starts selling these robots to its own companies, are they actually doing this the right way? Or is this essentially them claiming victory because they're not really making much money off of it in that sense? But yeah, so there's a
lot of like overlap where you're like, how much of, I hate to say the M word, are we playing the Monopoly game here? Are we playing with all these different companies? And is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing?
Yeah, when you're able to get leverage to this level with Tesla, then yeah, that becomes something that they,
you know, why can't there be another company that solves all Earth's problems? Yeah. I don't know. If there was, then we wouldn't have, you know, that kind of overlap. So, you know, we just need people to think out of the box and actually do things, which, you know, I don't know. I'm not out there, you know, creating companies either. So it's a lot to ask, but at the same time, like, you can't always judge.
So Kim, if I asked you what area you think Tesla's competitors are falling behind in, what would you guess?
Autonomy.
Yeah, autonomy. Well, that's probably the case, but look at the numbers that just came out from Q3 when it comes to charging station deployments. Tesla deployed over 1,800 new supercharging ports in the United States, which actually combined to pass the other 9 top leaders of EV chargers. This includes Electrify America, ChargePoint, Iona Network, Blink, EVgo, even the Rivian Adventure Network. Put them all together, they deployed about 1,400 charge ports. So Tesla beat out the other 9. And a lot of people made a point to, hey, remember back in April of 2024 where Tesla laid off about 500 of its supercharging staff and people thought, oh, this is, you know, the future and Tesla's not going to be able to sustain this. Well, it's kind of gone the opposite direction where they're actually expanding their charging infrastructure even more rapidly than other automakers that are expanding their EV networks. And a lot of these other EV networks obviously are now coming on board with NACS, but clearly Tesla still has a significant lead. I think 53%.
That's what I was thinking, is that, you know, all these other cars are going to be made with NACS. So it kind of makes sense for Tesla to take the lead when it comes to superchargers. Like, why not have them go there? This made me think about a story that I just heard where I have a friend and her sister purchased or actually leased a Ford Lightning, and they didn't put a charger in their home. So they were planning on charging this on the go. Now with that vehicle, you can charge on the Tesla network, but you do need an adapter. You can only use, I think, V3 and V4 chargers. So you don't have as many options. And she's really turned off right now from electric because of her experience and how difficult it has been for her to be able to charge and have reliable chargers for the Lightning using, you know, all the other ones, ChargePoint, all the other CCS.
It's always interesting to me because when I hear people finally transition into getting an EV one, I get super excited and I'm like, you're never going to want to go back. And a lot of times, especially if it's a non-Tesla, I see them want to go back because this is exactly what happens. Yeah. That charging infrastructure makes all the difference in you wanting to stay EV.
I know. I'm like, if you're going to do something that doesn't have an NACS port or something that's maybe not even Tesla, you really want to have home charging. Like, you have to have home charging if you want to have a good experience. And if you're using this for camping, you have to plan it out a little more and be like the type of person that kind of likes to do that math and figure out those numbers. Otherwise, you know, your experience might not be positive. And it makes me sad. It does make me sad. But it kind of brings up your point in terms of, you know, why people like Tesla so much and where they are ahead. And it is that supercharging network. So in about an hour, I'm actually headed back to the airport. I'm going to San Francisco, which is where we just came from last week, to do a video with Lucid Gravity. But I'm going out there to look at Rivian's electric bike. Well, not necessarily Rivian's, but they also have a bike. and it's called Also, which I'm super excited about. There has been some leaks. Somebody brought it onto a train. They didn't cover it up, but I'm going to get a chance to take a look at it, possibly ride it, bring you guys a video. So let me know if you have questions about that, and I'll be sure to answer it. As always, please subscribe to our channel because it does give us these opportunities to be able to go make these kind of videos, bring you all this content, and we appreciate you. And thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.